the airport authorities to order for September 11, 2025. Supervisor Long, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Everyone stand. Hand over heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
For Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long. Supervisor Lopez.
Here.
Chair Tony Tremblay.
Here.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Here.
Vice Chair Scott Bear. Camarillo Authority has a quorum. And for Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Long. Supervisor Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Perallo is absent at the moment. Chair Gabe Taran.
Here.
And Vice Chair Barb Filkins.
Here.
Thank you.
Oxnard has a quorum with 4.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Under item 3, agenda review, any changes or modifications to the agenda?
Good evening. We did receive one public comment. It was late, so we will share it after the fact from Point Magoo Naval Air Station's PIO. That will be shared, and it's actually in my director's report, so I'll comment on that as well. And then we received 2 public comments for item 7C, which has been shared with the committee and will be posted along with the packet when we do so in a couple days.
Okay,
That's it.
all right. That's great. Thank you. Item 4, approval of minutes for July 10 of 2025. Do anybody have any changes to any of the minutes? If not, may I hear a motion? Second. All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
For Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long. Supervisor Lopez.
Yes.
Chair Tremblay.
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bear.
Yeah.
That motion passes unanimously 5-0.
Okay, can we get a roll call vote for the Oxnard Airport Authority?
I would need a motion.
I'm sorry, and can we get a motion?
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Lopez. And do you have a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Lopez.
Yes.
Chair Taran.
Yes,
Vice Chair Filkins.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 4-0.
thank you.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 5, public comments. Are there any members of the audience tonight who wish to speak to either authority on items that are not on the agenda?
Not at this time. And would you like us to read the standard announcement to members of the public online?
That's fine. Go ahead.
To members of the public who wish to address the authorities tonight with the live public comments on any of the agenda item, please visit airports.ventura.county.gov/meeting calendar for participation instruction, streaming links, meeting IDs, and passcodes. In-person speakers will be called upon first, followed by remote participants. Speakers will be called to speak after the agenda item is presented. For in-person public comment, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the secretary before the end of the public comment period. For remote participants via Zoom or telephone, please accept the prompt to be promoted to speaker and unmute your mic when it's your turn to speak. The general public comment period for non-agenda items is limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless the time allotment is increased or decreased by the chair depending on the number of speakers. For public comments related to an agenda item, members of the public are allotted 3 minutes per speaker per listed agenda item at a single meeting, unless the time allotment is increased or decreased by the chair, depending on the number of speakers. Please use your allotted time accordingly.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on then to item number 6 which is the consent agenda. We have 4 items on a few pertaining to Camarillo and a few pertaining to Oxnard. Chair Taranka, I'll go ahead and take Camarillo first, if that's all right. Do I hear any questions relative to the consent items concerning Camarillo Airport Authority? I would only say that it's rather breathtaking that in September of 2025, we're approving a 2026 calendar. I think that's just incredibly good advanced planning by staff. I have tongue in cheek, but really is surprising. Okay. With that, hearing nothing from the Camarillo Authority with respect to the consent agenda items, do I hear a motion?
All motion.
There we go. All right, we have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
For Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long, Supervisor Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Tremblay,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bear. That motion passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you very much. Let's see, Chair Teron, do we have, want to do this for Oxnard?
Yes, thank you very much. At this point, do we have any questions or items for the consent agenda pertaining to Oxnard Airport Authority? Seeing and hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Lopez. I'll second. We have a motion by Supervisor Lopez, a second by Chair Teron. Can we get the roll call vote, please?
Supervisor Long, Supervisor Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Taran,
Yes.
Vice Chair Filkins.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 4-0. And yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'll volley it back to you, Chair Tremblay.
Thank you, Chair Teron. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to item 7 on our regular agenda. First item up is item A with respect to staff update on the Part 150 NCP studies for Camarillo and Oxnard airports. Good evening, Ms. Powers.
Good evening, Chairs Tremblay and Turan, authority members. Erin Powers, with a new position tonight as Deputy Director of Business and Administration. And it is really my pleasure to be here tonight to discuss an update on the Part 150 noise studies for Camarillo and Oxnard airports. I'm going to cover 3 areas in my presentation. One is going to be a study progress to date, an update on the last meetings we held in August. And then we will be, the final topic will be next steps. Oh, no. It's working, so thank you. So starting with study progress, it's hard to believe that we actually are approaching almost 3 years since we kicked this off in October of 2022. What I wanted to emphasize here is that the Part 150 noise studies really are comprised of 2 parts. The first half of the study focused on the noise exposure maps, or the NEMs, and the second half of the study focused on the noise compatibility plan, or NCP. Throughout 2023, we mostly focused on the noise exposure maps. We held public workshops, took community noise measurements, and we then, any comments we received informed and revised the documents, and we finally submitted those documents for FAA review in December of 2023. And with that sitting with the FAA, we were able to move on to the second part of the study. And in 2024, we held community listening sessions, our third public workshop. And then we found out in June of 2025, so it took a little bit, that our noise exposure maps had been accepted by the FAA. In July, we had final draft noise compatibility plan documents to share with the public. And we opened up a public comment period July 3rd, and which extended beyond through August 19th. And any comments received during that period, and also at the public hearings that we held in August, will be included in the plan. As far as the meeting updates, for Camarillo on August 4th, we held our final public hearing. We had approximately 45 attendees, and we also added a brief update on the approach and procedures analysis study, which is an element of the noise compatibility plan. It's a recommendation that we kickstarted a little early because of the length of time it can take to study these things and perhaps implement change. And so I am excited that I've added here that we've identified and we're setting up our ads to publicize our first public meeting October 7th. More information will be out there about that soon. And then August 5th, we held the public hearing for Oxnard, and we had approximately 15 attendees. The public hearing focused on the noise compatibility plan because the noise exposure maps had been finalized and accepted by the FAA. And we just are now finally working on next steps, which includes we're working on the development of our written responses to any of the noise compatibility plan comments we received during the public comment period. We will then take those responses will be included in an appendix of the noise compatibility plan, and we will take that full document forward first to the advisory bodies. We anticipate that will be in November or the December 2025, so really around the corner. Then from there, we'll take that to the Board of Supervisors. We're anticipating the first quarter of 2026. It could be as early as January. We'll just see where we are with finalizing the documents and then submitting, I say after board approval, presuming the board approves the plan, we would then submit it to the FAA. And while we're waiting for the FAA to review and accept the plan, we would work on grant closeout because both studies were funded by federal grants, and we have a grant expiration date of August of 2026. So we'll be able to fulfill our obligations just by submitting it and finishing up any final closeout paperwork in the meantime. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Erin. Are there any questions from Airport Authority members relative to this item? Chair Torone, anybody? Oxnard?
We have Supervisor Long.
I just really making sure that our community is heard and we can up to date with everything has been very helpful for all of us. And it's one of the things very much.
Absolutely. I think it's really been, it's something that we're excited to have the opportunity to share information, educate, and also listen and see what we can do to respond to community concerns. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the update on this. And along the lines of the important point that Supervisor Long brought up, folks who attend any of the public meetings prior to leading up to this point and afterwards, they have the opportunity to sign up for regular updates via email or some other form of communication, correct?
Yeah, so we have the department has an email list that you can join, and you will receive all airport updates. Our PIO and engagement officer is excellent at communicating about military frequent military activities, Southern California Edison, helicopter activity in certain areas when we find that information. And also will be one of the methods that we publicize the next approach and procedures analysis study along with any other meeting information. So.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, anyone who may be watching this now live or watches this meeting as a recording, is there a spot on the department's website where they can go and find out more or sign up for updates at this point if they'd like to be updated on the noise compatibility moving forward?
Yeah, so if anyone watching this or accessing our website, we have a direct link to the study website that has all the documents on it. We also have links to the recorded meetings that we held throughout nearly the 3 years if they wish to view those.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the Oxnard Airport Authority? Seeing and hearing none, I'll send it back to you, Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Just one comment, and that is I had the opportunity to attend the August 4 public workshop, and it was very well done. And the difference between where we were 3 years ago and now, in terms of the transparency by the Department of Airports, is really terrific. The contrast is stark, and I want to compliment staff and compliment the consultants involved on how this is going from a community engagement standpoint. So I think it's really well done. So just additional kudos there, in addition to what Supervisor Lane said.
Thank
Yeah,
you. It
sure.
certainly starts with leadership down from the county levels and the
It sure does.
department.
Yeah.
So
So thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right.
Chair Tremblay, if I may, I'm sorry.
Wow.
We have a comment from an online viewer that Supervisor Long, it's hard to hear your audio not coming through clearly. Thank you so much.
Does that work better?
Sounds better to us, yes.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
So, what I had said earlier was I really appreciate all of our staff in the engagements for the meetings was amazing. And just to hear from our community is really important in all of this. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that our airport staff has done to outreach for our community. I think it's really crucial that we hear from the community. So thank you. Is that better?
I have word that that's better. Thank you.
Oh,
There-
awesome.
There are
Thank
no
you
public
so
comments.
much. I know. I think I'm so loud, and for someone to say that, I'm like, I really appreciate that. So thank you.
All right. We're all using our best schoolyard voices. Then we'll move on from, that's a receive and file item on 7A. So without objection, the item is received and filed, and Chair Teron for Oxnard Airport Authority received and filed.
Yes,
Great.
without objection, let's go ahead and move on.
All right, thanks. Let's move on then to item 7B, which is the staff update on the Camarillo Airport Beacon Tower installation project.
So good evening, chairs and authorities. My name is Susan Beck, and I'm gonna just be giving you a quick update on this receive and file item. So we have installed a new beacon over here at Camarillo Airport. The location of Beacon Tower is over by the existing electrical building. The project cost was about $350,444. This project had gone out to bid, I believe, in 2023, and the bid came back really high. And so the department decided to shelve the project, and we picked it up this year with the help of GSA. And so we are utilizing their services, and the cost is considerably less than what it was before. The project started about July 10th, and we're hoping to be finished by October 31st. And you can see the tower is in a halfway tilt down position in this photo. Unfortunately, the manufacturer sent the wrong length of cable, and so we don't get a full tilt down. But once they deliver the materials, we'll be good to go. So if there's any questions.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions from authority members? Yeah, Mr. Bear.
The cable snafu,
Yes,
is that on the manufacturer's dime or our dime?
it is on the manufacturer's dime. It was a mistake on the manufacturer's part.
Perfect.
Good to know. Any other questions from Camarillo Airport Authority members on this? Thank you for your work on it. It's an expensive project, but from a capital cost standpoint, but in terms of the long-term viability and the long-term savings on it, it's a very good project. It makes a lot of sense.
It helps our staff be more safe. And it helps save that cost too.
All right.
So.
All right. Thank you. No questions from authority members. I think it's time to go to public comments, and I think I see a member of the public Mr. Thomas coming up to,
Bill Thomas, alternate member of the Ventura Airport Authority. I have a question on the follow-up plan for the water tower where the current light is residing, and I saw it was still working. Is there any update on when or how the tower is going to be disestablished and torn down?
maybe we could ask staff to comment on that.
Yeah, happy to answer, again, if you remember the history, we realized a few years ago that we didn't own the tower. And the new owner wanted to charge us about $10,000 a month to keep the beacon on the top. So we decided to build our own tower. So that's kind of where we got a few years later. The water tower is their structure. It is not, so there's no intent to tear it down at this point. And I think actually the city of Camarillo has some recognition of the water tower itself. So that might be a challenge if they wanted to do it. But at this point, there is no intention other than us removing, when our new beacon is operational, removing that beacon from the top of the water tower. And then the structure is all theirs, the new owners.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. All right, any other comments from authority board members? Any other public comments? All right.
No, no other public
And no
comments.
public comments? All right, hearing no objection, that's a receive and file item and will be received and filed. That will bring us to item C, which is the staff presentation regarding solicitation for letters of interest on development parcels at Camarillo Airport. And I would remind everybody that this is also a receive and file item. It is not, I know we have public comments on this. Thank you very much. But it is a receive and file item. It is not up for specific action in front of this authority this evening. Mr. Freitas?
Thank you, Chair. I'll go into, you've heard us, staff, over the last couple of years talk about our airport layout plan update that we've been working on for Camarillo. During that time, because we were looking at the planning future of Camarillo Airport, we kind of put on hold those requests, and we had a couple in the last year or so from current businesses to do expansion on the facility. So because we were in the middle of an airport layout plan process, we've kind of put those on hold. Now that the LP process is completed, we've kind of moved to those two, and you see the sites that those entities are interested in. We start all of that with a process that the FAA requires. When we receive some interest in doing some sort of development, the FAA specifically wants us to do competitive solicitation for other entities that might be interested in developing. So that's what we kind of are describing right here, is just going out and saying, hey, we have some interest in these two parcels. Basically, one location is just east of the tower and on the airfield, and the other parcel is east of Air 7, one of the fixed base operators on the airport. So that's how we start the whole process. We know that our stakeholders, all of our stakeholders, our community members outside the airport will want to know, well, what is the development going to be? They're concerned about jets and noise and things like that, particularly in Old Town. We have stakeholders on the airfield. If you see, again, look at Air 7, that parcel east of there has about 45 hangars there. So those tenants are concerned, what does that mean? So we can't answer those questions because, again, we're going to go through who's interested and then we evaluate what those are. But all of those things are ranked when we have one or multiple interested parties. We look at, not only the economics, but the, community benefits, the investment that they're making. There's all kinds of ratings we will do to look and compare for those sites and future development. What we do know, and I'll look at particularly the parcel east of Air 7 or to the right of Air 7, those 45 or so hangars, those are county hangars, and we have right now about 14 of those hangars that are vacant because they're so old. Some of these hangars are as old as 40 years old. And we have 14 hangars that we don't fill right now because they're rusted out. And the permitting process in the county to fix or repair, replace is challenging and costly. So those are all things that will go into the factor when we look at that. But we understand, and you'll see in this, if we look at a proposal to develop that site where those hangars are, we would expect that there is an accommodation, there are other replacement hangars. What we don't want is to take those 40 or so tenants that are there now, 37 or so, and just not have a place for them for those size hangars. So we would look to have that accommodated somewhere else. So it's a bigger process. And to be clear, this is a lengthy process. We're starting with what the FAA requires is who's interested in developing, what does that look like? What are those proposals? And then it's a multi-year, the day we say we agree to a development process, it's 2+ years. I mean, we got to negotiate a lease, there's the environmental review, and California development is a 2+ year process. So it's a very lengthy, this is the first start. We would obviously come multiple times through this committee and our aviation advisory committee, and then ultimately to the board that would have to approve, say, a lease document, and then moving forward with development. So that's, I don't know if I had another slide. That was the slide I had. Okay. Did I go too far? Too many times? There we go. Sorry, fighting each other. So that's kind of an overview. Is there any specific questions that I can answer? Oh, the last thing I want to point out, again, our stakeholders that are impacted, particularly the hangar tenants, we know that they're concerned, will we be displaced? Again, I think I've already answered that. No, we would expect accommodation. The other is cost. Obviously, they're renting 40+ year old hangars. That cost is going to be lower than, say, a newer facilities. When we built our new facilities several years ago in the Northeast hangar corner, we offered those tenants some opportunity. A few of them took them, but we would do the same thing with new development there. The cost, obviously, we probably can't, we won't be able to say, you know, a 40-year hangar and a new hangar are going to rent for the same. We understand that. The other I heard in last night's meeting at the Aviation Advisory Commission, there's a huge camaraderie of pilots in areas. That's also difficult if there's developed here and now they're pushed. But many of our tenants obviously have access to other parts of the airport via vehicle or golf carts or other access. So we can't answer all of those or address all of those, but we will attempt that as we go through the process, however that looks like. So, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Freitas, for the staff report. I know I have some public comment cards, but before I go there, and thank you to the members of the public who have attending this. Do you have any questions for Mr. Freitas? Mr. Barrett?
Not so much questions, but comments. This is sort of a unique opportunity, this area over next to Air 7, especially given that 14, I think was the number you threw out, of those hangars are uninhabitable. So I'm of mixed emotions here. I think that this, as I said, is an interesting possibility, but I've got caveats and concerns. First and foremost, we can't put something in there that's going to increase the jet traffic and impact Old Town. We're in the middle of trying to mitigate Old Town's noise issues, and bringing in more business jets isn't going to do that. So something that would go in there like a maintenance facility, one that would service jets and ideally piston aircraft as well, makes sense, because the jets on the field wouldn't have to leave the field, and which means a departure and an arrival to be maintained and serviced. So something like that makes sense to me. The next concern I have is the projects have to bring jobs to Camarillo, not just in the construction, but in the operation. Sticking more jets and hangars isn't going to bring jobs to Camarillo. Maintenance facilities will, mechanics, inspectors, support staff, people in the parts room. It generates jobs and generates, presumably generates income for the local economy. And lastly, I wanted to bring up that if tenants are going to get displaced, they need to be presented with an economical replacement. And by economical, I mean, I'm going to make up numbers here just for the sake of discussion. If the county's charging $500 a month for a 40-year-old hangar, another 10 or 15% for a brand new hangar to me seems reasonable. And as the county escalated its rents over the years, the developer could escalate its rents, but still has to be within that 10 or 15% range. To me, that would be acceptable. If hangar owners are going to be displaced out of a $500 a month hangar and be presented with a $1,000 a month hangar or a $1,200 a month hangar, that's unreasonable. And a lot of these people in those hangars, and as Director Freitas knows, hangars are near and dear to my heart. A lot of those people have been in those hangars for decades. Bill Thomas had mentioned that earlier, before the meeting started. And so to displace them, I think is a big deal. And I think we have to tread very, very lightly how we handle that if we're going to displace these people. And I think it's important that we do it so it's economical. And also, I think that needs to be done before the old hangars get torn down, so that we don't have, $200,000-$300,000 planes sitting out in the sun for a year, while the new hangars over by, presumably would be over by Cloud 9, are being constructed. So those are my thoughts. It seems like an interesting project, but I have reservations, and as it plays out, I'll be watching to see how those issues are addressed.
Thank you, Director Bear. Any other questions from commissioners?
Chair Tremblay, Vice Chair Wilkins would like to comment if she can.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring this up, and it may be brought up by any of our public members, but one of the other pieces to this is that this area is right next to the EAA. So, and, we talked to, Mr. Freitas talked a little bit about the community of the pilots there, but we make use of that for the Young Eagles one Saturday morning a month. And if this went to a MRO facility or Air 7, the question would be, how do we ensure that we still are able to see the EAA be able to provide that community benefit to our youth? I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Great. Thank you for that. All right. If that concludes the questions and comments from authority members, now let me go to the public. I've got 2 blue speaker cards. There may be other speakers online or who are here who haven't provided cards yet, Madam Clerk, but I'm going to go with the 2 speaker cards I have right now. And the first one is Mark Sullivan. Welcome aboard, Mr. Sullivan. Ask you to keep your comments as brief as possible. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Sullivan. I think I am the oldest resident of those hangars since I first rented one in 1986, early 87, when they were initially built. I think it was the first one to move in. It is very much community there. I had 5 sons, and 4 of them ended up in aviation. 3 are active duty airline pilots from an airplane that was in one of those hangars. 1 works for Boeing. We're very much an aviation family. The concern that we have there, well, a little background. I want to point out, I think everybody knows this here, but the 1977 grant to this county of the airport goes way beyond the FAA grant assurances and very explicitly says that the airport shall be reserved and maintained for all types of aviation uses. I perceive at this airport, as many others do, that you really have like 3 different communities. You have the jet community, you have people with the $30 million Pilatuses, that's an interim community, and they're renting condominium hangars that they're willing to pay $400,000, $500,000 a month for. And then there's the hoi polloi, that's the rest of us, with $50,000, $100,000 airplanes. Basically the price of a nice car. In any event, the biggest concern we have is that if a developer comes in and replaces the hangars with a jet hangar or a jet maintenance center, we know the county's not going to redo the Northeast Hangar project because that was too uneconomic for a governmental entity to do. It ended up costing a lot of money. which means a developer would have to do it as part of the jet project. Our concern is such a developer is most likely to say they have to be condominiums, in which case people who now have $450 a month rental hangars are suddenly looking at having to buy a $500,000 condominium, and in effect would be priced out of the airport. One of the concerns we have, what's prompted our concern, is that we disagree that these hangars are unrepairable. One of the ones I was in for 25 years is now currently listed as unrepairable, as I understand it. It needed some welding on a couple rails, but frankly, was far better than a lot of the hangars I've been in Oxnard, which are used every day. And permitting, there's several people over in Oxnard that have been dealing with buildings and safety, trying to get permits, and they get blown off. They don't issue permits for mobile hangars. So it's really the repair issue we think is something that's an overblown issue. We think those hangars could be repaired. We are aviation fanatics, so we're not against aviation, but we do say the county's losing $8,000 a year in rent from those hangars, and the cost of welding, the welding that needs to be done isn't that much. Compared to the many, many private hangars here, the county ones just are not that bad. They need to repair, springs and the like, but that's really not a huge thing. The major concern we have, we mentioned community. Anybody that was at Wings Over Camarillo, because several weeks ago, may remember on Sunday afternoon, it's about 3:00, one of the business jets, and they do this a lot, but one of the business jets cranked up its engine to keep its air conditioning going. I couldn't tell if it was a main engine or an APU, auxiliary power unit, but I know that the whole front line of hangars, people out there on their lawn chairs had to clear out because of the emissions. The biggest issue with the jets, I don't think is noise. I think it's emissions. And the concern I have is with a maintenance facility, it's not the arrivals in and out, but by definition, a maintenance facility is going to have jets being repaired, idling their engines, because that's what you do when you maintain them. And being right next door to the EAA and the museum, I submit that's possibly an issue that should be considered. Long and short of it, at the end of the day, our biggest concern is we really appreciate the director's assurance that there will be an accommodation, but it's critical that any developer that knows that's going to be building that area, that they're going to have to come up with some kind of plan to assist the county in building hangars that will be available for reasonable rent, not necessarily for purchase. And at that point, Supervisor Long, you ask the revenue people, I'm sure they'll tell you this. If they bring in $70 million jets, you don't have to be a mathematician to understand that with an ad valorem tax of 1.1%, it's huge tax revenue for the county. I would think we should explore, if they are going to bring in a bunch of new jets, even one produces enough tax revenue that if we need some kind of an arrangement to have a private developer fund an addition to the Northeast hangar, that should be part of the request for going forward. Because at the end of the day, if a developer comes in and says he's going to build a huge new maintenance facility, and yes, he'll build wonderful new hangars. Well, he could replicate what Airport Properties has done. Those are beautiful hangars, but those are hangars for people with $3 million Pilatuses, not hangars for people with $130,000 Cessna 182s. And that's who's going to be priced out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan. The second speaker card I have is from, and I hope I don't mispronounce your last name, Renee Broom or Brum. All right. Any comments you wish to make, Ms. Broom? Yeah. Okay. Are there any, before I ask the clerk, are there any other members of the audience who are present who wish to offer comments on this item? All right. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, are there any public folks who are online who wish to offer public comment?
No online comments.
No online comments. All right. With that then, unless there are any additional comments or questions from members of the authority, Supervisor Lopez.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Question for Mr. Freitas. I understand that there's been some expressed interest in submitting a letter of interest, so now formalizing that process. But what would be the alternative plan if there is no proposal that meets the need and the interest and the current capacity of the airport and these hangars, specifically looking at those that are not included in the rent, in the inventory for rent, but are there, 19 of them. So what would be the alternative if there is an alternative?
So, there currently are a couple proposals for those sites. That doesn't mean, so at this point, we're soliciting for other competitive interests. If those were the only proposals, we would evaluate those individual proposals for each of those sites. That doesn't mean we have to move forward if it didn't meet some of our basic standards. The FAA would also look at us, there are cities, counties out there that just try to not do anything as a way of, for noise abatement, all kinds of different reasons. So the FAA would be looking over our shoulder to make sure it was a reasonable reason in which we declined that. And an argument, a reasonable in our opinion, is for sure, we have these types, sizes of hangars, they're being displayed, if that's the case, again, we don't know what the proposals are ultimately. But if that is the case, that they would be offset somewhere else. And I agree with the comments that previously were made, is we wouldn't do anything in advance of those new facilities being available. And then there's a place for them to go, not stick them out on the, as I mentioned, it's a 2-3 year process, stick them out on the airfield, potentially lose customers. And also another comment that was made is we are very clear in what our business model is, and that is catering to various aviation components. That's in our best interest as a county. Small aviation, mid-size, large aviation, that makes sense for all of us. And also for our stakeholders on the outside, surrounding the airport, that they aren't impacted by one segment only. So hopefully that answered.
It did. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Mr. Bear has another question.
2 bites of the apple. I'm not sure.
You don't
that's
get away
allowed.
that easy. A thought just occurred to me as I was sitting here and listening to Mr. Sullivan and your presentation. Has any, let me step back. I know I've had conversations with Building and Safety. I know John George at the Hangar Owners and Tenants Association has had conversations with Building and Safety on this ridiculous permit issue to weld in, as Mark described, weld in a few beams to make the hangars usable again. Has there been any thought given to putting out an RFP to have some company come in who deals with permits, that deals with welding and structures, and let them rehabilitate those hangars for, a certain cost?
We have been working, as you mentioned, for a few years with the sister agency, Building and Permits, to kind of quantify what is allowed, not only for our hangars, but as you mentioned, for some of the privately owned hangars at the 2 airports. So we continue to work through that issue. We have not gotten, because we haven't been able to really get our hands around what is allowed and what the parameters are. So we're working to define that first before we would move in another direction. But it really comes to, yes, we could probably put a Band-Aid when we're allowed to do that. But remember, these are 40-year-old facilities, and spending thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to repair each of these probably wouldn't make sense anyways, given, how much longer are we going to get out of all of the rest of them?
Well, but I think the operative phrase in what you said was, for the last few years, you've been talking to Building and Safety.
Yes.
It's been going in circles and not getting anywhere. So why not just putting out an RFP? I mean, we don't have to accept it, but why not put out an RFP to have a company come in who knows the permitting process, can deal with Building and Safety, can deal with the structural issues, and see if there is an economic way to repair those hangars, rehabilitate those hangars, and get another 10 or 15 years use out of them.
That sounds like an agenda item for a future item.
Yeah.
Maybe at some points, but I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but that's, at this point, we have folks that want to invest candidly millions of dollars into the airports. So that may be something we evaluate at that time. But yeah, that's fair.
Well, and I would just say that there's points to make things last longer versus opportunities to make them better. We have to weigh that as a board.
And that has to come to us to make those decisions. I don't think today is the day we're making those decisions, but understand that the conditions, the hangars as they are, and where we would want them to be, and what we have in front of us as to who would do that development. Saying that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor. Any other comments from authority members? All right, if not, and thank you for the members of the public who spoke this evening. And I think there was also, I know, at least one written public comment that was forwarded to authority members this afternoon, right, Madam Clerk?
There were two,
Oh, there were two.
one this afternoon and one previously.
I'm behind the times. Okay, thank you very much. I know those have been forwarded to authority members. Without objection, this is a receive and file item. We're going to go ahead and it'll be received and filed. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chair Teran.
Thank you, Chair Tremblay. For Oxnard Airport Authority, we are looking at item 7D, subject approval of and authorization for the Director of Airports or his designee to sign consulting services contract with Nino and more geotechnical and environmental sciences consultants for the supplemental per and polyfluoral alkyl substances soil groundwater investigation at Oxnard Airport for $129,660.48. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did great.
Close.
You saved me from stumbling over it. I'm going to just call it PFAS.
Thank you. And let me just read the recommendation, Ms. Powers, and I'll
Please.
turn it over to you. Recommendation staff requests that your commission authorities recommend that the Board of Supervisors board authorize the Director of Airports or his designee to sign the consulting services contract with Nino and more geotechnical and environmental sciences consultants for the supplemental per and PFAS soil and groundwater investigation at Oxnard Airport for $129,660.48. Ms. Powers.
Thank you. Yes, for many of you, PFAS is not a new item for your authority and also for the Oxnard Airport. You may recall that in 2019, there was the State Water Board in California sent letters to all Part 139 airports, letting them know that they were going to be required to participate in delineation efforts for PFAS at their airports. And the reason why they focused on Part 139 airports is because those commercial use airports were required by the FAA to use a firefighting foam, and there was only one formula that was approved by the FAA, and it contained PFAS. So we are and have been working with the State Water Board since 2019 to do a series of delineations. And essentially, this contract is just one more piece. We really brought it to you to bring as a regular agenda item, just to sort of check in and let you know that this is a continuing effort. Since 2019, we have done a series of work plans and then implementation and investigation based off of the work plan. This is all in close coordination with the Water Board. And we continue to essentially step out, and we are required to do this until the Water Board is satisfied with the data that they have. And so we completed a work plan that was accepted by the Water Board, and and this contract is the contract to implement that work plan and do some additional testing. So this is not a new subject, but it is a new contract in the series. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions from the Oxnard Airport Authority? No. Do we have any public speakers?
No public speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. Okay, no questions for me either, Ms. Powers. I do appreciate the information being brought forward and us considering this contract and giving us the background on that and the update. And just as a side note, I was wondering if you were going to also say the words firefighting foam or fluoride-free foam, fluorine-free foam. say it 3 times fast. right?
Exactly. I try to, I mean, and then if you add in the name of the consulting firm, there's actually a couple more words that go with it. So it's quite lengthy. I like simple.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll have tongue twisters for our future agenda items. Okay, with that, if there are no questions or any additional things from the authority, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion by Supervisor Lopez and a second by Vice Chair Falcons.
For Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Long. Supervisor Lopez,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chair Taran
Yes.
and Vice Chair Filkins.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much. And moving on, Chair Tremblay, I think I can take us down the third baseline here if you're all right with that. Okay. Item 8, Director's Report. Mr. Freitas.
Chairs and authority members, I have a few items busy at the airport. First, I want to introduce Lizette, goes by Liz Kennel, our new management assistant for the airports department. She's on her first night meeting, so she's doing well. Next item, Hart Aerospace. You've heard me. We've talked about, so this was the company based originally formed in Sweden and relocated to Irvine, California, but was looking for an R&D test range. They focus on mid-size electric engines, 70 passenger. So they were looking for an R&D location. So we offered and negotiated a 6-month lease with them to do test propulsion with their electric engine. We will have a video for you at the next meeting of that. So excited about that. Kind of pushes our advanced air mobility things we're encouraging out at Oxnard Airport. Next item, we recently, as you all know, in August had another fire in the area, the Canyon Fire. Once again, Camarillo Airport was a staging for that location. I'm proud to partner with Ventura County Air Units, Fire and Sheriff that responded. That fire started August 7th and within a couple of days had 91% contained and was extinguished 100% contained by August 14th. Another fabulous job of Ventura County Air Units. The air show, we had our 44th annual Wings Over Camarillo. Thank you, Bill Thomas and team, all the huge volunteers. I think Bill says still working on the numbers, but about 17,000 attendees. He said he will come and give us a full debriefing in the next few meetings, possibly. I was even tricked into doing the simulator for the Pivotal. Those 3D goggles are quite amazing things, actually. Next item, we got a notice from Point Magoo, PIO, Public Information Officer, that they are running increased air activity starting September 5th through the 19th. Could go longer for large fleet exercise. So our PIO has put that announcement out to our contact list. Our partner here that rents space from us, the Ventura County Shelter Animal Services, had their clear the shelter day on August 23rd, just after the air show. And in one day had 68 animals, found new homes for those. And that's about a week's worth of adoptions in a single day. So successful, another successful event. Happy to report through our leadership in the county supporting and Congresswoman Brownlee's office, we received a $3.5 million grant. This was a closeout for the Taxiway Foxtrot project that we had at Oxnard Airport. We pre-funded with no guarantees that we would get reimbursed. And all of those folks came through with $3.5 million. So that's fabulous. Next we got notice from Commander of Air Force that the B-17 is coming to Camarillo Airport and Commander of Air Force hangar September 22nd through 29th. Public tours and rides will be available. Rides, yes. For a mere donation, I think you can see down there for just a few dollars, you can get a ride. Second to last item, Sheriff's Academy previously, many years ago had used a portion of the abandoned, the abandoned runway here at Camarillo to do, vehicle high-speed training. They've asked to do that once again. We're working with our aviation consultant to see if, we can do that safely. So we've got some things, we've got a run-up area there. We've got Coulson helicopters in the area. We have now the northeast hangars in the area. So we're doing some analysis to see if we could help them out. They need to do it basically two times a year for a week, is what they're looking for, but we're working with them to try to help our partners if we can do so safely. And the last item, just a reminder, our two public members, Ms. Filkins, Mr. Bear, their terms expire the last day of February, February 28th, 2026. So in November, we will once again publish who's interested and go through that in November. Probably bring that back. Those that are interested, I think the past way we've done it, we announce it, we give everybody about 6 weeks to see who's interested and then bring those interested parties to probably the January meeting for interviews. And that's how we've done it in the past. So if the sheriffs want to do it a different way, we can discuss that, but that's kind of the timing and how we've done it in the past. And that's all I have for director's report, unless there's any specific questions.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Do we have any questions for the director? Thank you for reminding us there are 112 days left in 2025 as well, so. Yes. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9 for reports. Are there any specific highlights from reports that we would like to call out, Mr. Freitas or staff?
There are none we have specifically to call out.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 10 for correspondence. Excuse me, before we move on from 9, are there any questions on the reports from anyone on the authorities? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item 10 for correspondence. Any highlights or items from there? Not seeing any. And any questions from folks or comments on that? Okay. Moving on from there, item 11, authority comments. Comments by authority members on matters deemed appropriate. Yes, Supervisor Long.
Thank you. I just would like to say thank you to the Wings Over Camarillo for doing a phenomenal job and for doing such a great advertisement of general aviation for our community and why we need to have our Camarillo and Oxnard airports here. I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. And did we have other comments?
Mr.
Chair
Chair?
Campley.
May I just say ditto to Supervisor Long? And Mr. Thomas, thank you for all of your efforts and all the efforts of all of the volunteers that brought about this show and the staff. Great team effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other authority comments? Oh, would you like to make the announcement, Vice Chair? There you go.
I just wanted to remind everybody that on October 17th, we will be having our 2025 Aviation STEM Day at the Commemorative Air Force, and it looks like it's going to be quite a hopefully exciting event for our high school and middle school. We already have more students signed up than we had in attendance last year. And AV has provided funding, which we're providing for grants for busing for various school systems that have encountered problems in the past. So it looks like we're actually going to be getting East County involved this time with over 50 kids from Fillmore and Piru.
Yes, thank you very much.
October 17th from 9 to 1.
Thank you. And we have a few of these flyers. Maybe we can leave them for members of the public if they'd like to take them. Thank you. Okay, seeing no others, I'll just make one comment as chair. It's not lost on me that we are now 24 years from the date of September 11, 2001. Certainly a dark day and a very painful day in the history of the United States. And I just appreciate all of the efforts of our Department of Airport staff and everyone for safety and what happens here in the runways and in the air here in Ventura County. That's not lost on me, but also recognizing that that was a very difficult time and still is felt by many in this nation. Those who lost loved ones and those who just experienced the collective trauma that we all did on that day. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I appreciate the opportunity to do so. So with that, we'll move on to adjournment. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 9th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Same bat time, same bat place. And I appreciate everybody this evening, and we are adjourned.